Good morning, class. We have finished with chapter 10 and 11 about the British India. Now, life in the villages during the British India or before the Britishers came to India. Okay, so starting with the life in the village. Okay, here Indian villages were self-sufficient in the pre-British era. Most of the thing that villagers, they were the owner of the land. Okay, the farmer was the owner of the land and tilled it and had permanent proprietary rights over it. The ruler exacted a small part of the produce as tax, and if the crop failed on account of natural calamities like flood, drought, etc., this time the taxes were reduced. Okay, however, when the advent of the Britishers and situation changed, means when Britishers came to India, this situation was changed. The company agents, they started collecting the revenue directly from the farmers, and it was fixed and payable in cash only. Even when the crops failed, no relief from taxes was given to the farmers. Okay, so starting with the land revenue policy and the land settlements during the British time period, because earlier they were not, if there were no good crops, so their taxes were reduced. But in the time period of Britishers, they were strictly paying the taxes to the Britishers. Okay, so our topic is here land revenue policy and the land settlements. Okay, as we all know, the main sources of livelihood for the people were agriculture and its related activities. So land taxes were formed by the Britishers to get the revenue from the farmers and the people, those who are attached with the farming activities, means activities based on agriculture. Okay, the main occupation of the Indian people was agriculture. So revenue from land kept on increasing, and reason for their these were many. How, means why this revenue, land taxes, etc. increased? Generally, we all know that Britishers came to India for trade, and afterward they wanted to conquer the vast territory of India, for which they needed a lot of money. Okay, so they need money for trade or to buy buying of local goods and exporting them. Project of the company for maintaining the army as well as for cost of running the administration. So British carried out a number of land revenue experiments. Okay, which causes a you can say that which increased the hardship in the life of the farmers. Okay, they extracted taxes from the farmers to finance their policies and war efforts, both in India and abroad. Direct and the indirect means were carried out to bring out the collection of revenue from the British. So when any sources company has designed to fulfill this objective of collecting the revenue from the farmers. So under Warren Hastings, he charged the during the Warren Hastings governorship, the company guaranteed the right to collect revenue from an area to the highest bidder. This arrangement did not succeed, as such high and unrealistic bids were made that bidding amount were much more than what the land could actually produce. So this resulted in an unstable income. So this company in our country, company decided to increase the uh, revenue, and to regularize the revenue collection, the company brought in certain changes in the revenue collection system and introduced the three new policies. And these policies were permanent settlement, the Mahalwari settlement, and the Retwari settlements. So starting with the permanent settlement. Permanent settlement, it was introduced by Lord Cornwallis, and it was a settlement done in Bengal and Bihar in 1793. So it was made the landlord or jamidar deposit a fixed amount of money by the certain date in the state territories. In return, they were recognized as the hereditary owner of the land. This made the jamidar this amount of jamidar, the owner of the land, the amount of revenue to be paid to the company was fixed for a period of time. So they were means their income, Britishers' income were regularized. So they became financially strong. Now they knew the advance as to how much revenue was coming in from a certain area. So the jamdar were taking, if they were taking the more revenue from the farmers, so fixed revenue they were paying to the Britishers, and rest of the amount they were keeping with themselves. Now it is given he could keep extra amount for himself. So to get surplus revenue for themselves, they asked the peasant to increase the production. But if jamidar failed to pay the fixed revenue on time, his land was sold off to the another jamidar. Means as the revenue was fixed to give it to the Britishers, and it was totally depend on the production of the crop. If there was surplus of, so they were able to pay, but if there is a failure of crops, so they were not able to give the fixed amount to the Britishers, so their land were directly given to the another jamidars. The new class of jamidars that emerged became their political allies. They supported the British in time of need and acted as a buffer between them and the peasants. So this class in fact supported the British against the freedom movement. In this settlement, the peasants suffered greatly because the land revenue rates were very high, and if they did not pay in full, they could be evicted. Jamidar asked them to for increased production, but never invested in inputs. While the production decreased, the revenue demands for jamidar went up. To pay the revenue and avoid eviction, the peasant borrowed money from the local moneylenders. So once in debt, could never get out. Now come to this Mahalwari system. You can see the system. It was introduced in 1822 by the Britishers in the area of northwestern province, Punjab, the Ganga Valley, and the parts of central India. In Mahalwari system, land was commonly owned by the group of village, and this group of villages were called mahals. The task of collecting the revenue and paying it to the company was given to the headman of each mahal. The revenue demand was not fixed but could be revised periodically. Now, here all the proprietor proprietors or the head of the mahals were jointly responsible for paying the sum of revenue assessed by the government. Unfortunately, it brought no benefit to the peasants as the British demand were very high. So another settlement was there, Rotwari system. It was introduced by Thomas Munro. Okay, and the area was parts of Bombay and Madras presidencies. This is also called the Munro system. In this, the land revenue was imposed directly on the ryots or peasants, the individual cultivator who actually worked on the land. The peasant was recognized as the owner of the land as long as he was able to pay the revenue. The revenue rates were fixed according to the soil fertility. The exploitation continued with the high revenue demands. Now see this, the rise of money lending class in India. You all know that time-bound and excessive demand of revenue by the British government, frequent failure of crops, and expensive social customs like festivals and marriages forced the peasant to take loan from the moneylenders. So they were taking money from this created new social class of moneylender loyal to British. The moneylenders often exploit the peasant by charging high interest rates. These were corrupt class, and they often use unfair means like false accounting, forced signature, and the thumb embraces. The new legal system of policy introduced by the Britishers only helped the moneylenders, who were either local merchants or the landlords. In most cases, the peasant failed to pay back the loan with full interest. Thus, their lands gradually passed into the hands of the money lending class. So, in mid-19th century, 18% of the farmers in India had unpaid debts. Means, if they were not able to pay the loans amount, so they were in debt. Exploitation by the jamidars. Here, exploitation. So, Indian farmers were earlier self-sufficient in pre-British area, and now the new revenue estimation and the collection system created a social class of jamidars who had no concern for the welfare of the farmers. Okay, so and they were taking more and more amount from the farmers. They made no effort to improve the agriculture or the provide necessary inputs to the farmers like irrigation facilities and good seeds. They were giving to the farmers, nor did they provide any relief or assistance during the crop failure. Now, commercialization of the agriculture. To improve the condition or get them more income, major economic impact of the British policies was the introduction of the new crops, commercial crops, cash crops like tea, coffee, indigo, opium, cotton, jute, sugarcane, oilseed, etc. So different kind of crops were introduced for the different intentions. Indian opium was used to balance the trade of Chinese tea with Britain in the latter's favor. And this market of opium was strictly controlled by the British traders. Okay, so there was no profit given to the Indian farmers. Okay, and they were forcefully asked to grow the opium. In tea plantation, ownership changed hand quite often. The workers on this plantation worked under a lot of hardships. So it increased the number of landless laborers. It is brought in a large number of merchant, trader and middlemen who further exploited the situation. Now new economy introduced in which the exploitation was done of the farmers. Now indigo we know that it is a blue color dye obtained from the indigo plant. It is used to give color to the clothes. It was a great demand for it in Europe, and after this British textile industry increased their demand in other countries. Indigo was considered to be cheap and lasting dye for the woven clothes, and Britain's climate was not suitable to grow the indigo, so most of the area of India were used to grow the indigo, and it was given the cheap rate to the Indian farmers. Indigo was grown under a different system, where all farmers were compelled to grow it on a 23rd part of their land. Cultivation of indigo left the land infertile for some years, and also indigo cultivation was a labor intensive mark, means so much labor is needed to grow so many peasants they refused to grow these commercial crops. Because of the growth of indigo, the commercial crops, food grain production went down, so there was less food stock, led to famine. It was therefore not surprising that the peasant revolted, because they need food also. Now we can see the indigo revolt in 1859 to 60. So this revolt was directed against the British planters in Bengal, who forced peasants to take advance and sign fraudulent contracts, and in which the peasants were forced to grow indigo under the terms. The revolt began in Govindpur village in Nadia district of Bengal, and it was led by Digambar Biswas and Vishnu Biswas, who organized peasants into a counter force to deal with the planters. The strike spread to other places in Bengal. The revolt enjoyed the support of the categories of the rural population, missionaries, and the Bengal intelligentsia. The riots or cultivators, armed with their spears, bow and arrows, and sword, attacked the indigo factories and planters. This revolt was vividly portrayed by the Deen Bandhu Mitra in his play Neel Darpan, and it was enacted in 1869. It led to the appointment of an indigo commission in 1860s by the government. A major reason for the success of the indigo revolt was the tremendous initiatives, cooperation, organization and discipline of the riots. Another was complete unity among Hindu and Muslim peasants. Leadership of the movement was provided by the more well-off riots, and in some cases by petty jamidars, moneylenders and the ex-employees of the planters. After this, Bengal stopped being the hub of the indigo cultivation, and the indigo planters shifted their base to Bihar. In 1970, Mahatma Gandhi fought for the cause of indigo farmers in Champaran. There was an enormous drain to the wealth from the country to Britain due to various economic policies of the British. So, financial burden was placed on India due to the expenditures on salaries, pension, and training of military and civilian staff employed by the British to rule India. If this wealth had been invested in India, it could have helped to enormously improve the economy of the country. So here we have complete the explanation. I've sent already the exercises till short answers. This you will finish today. Complete it. Goodbye.